It was still going. We only have one player left, so I ended it that day. I ended it on Thanksgiving. Jordan was the winner, and we started a new one the next day. I got to see what players left. It was me, Brandon Mason, and we had a couple managers that were still in the mix, but I mostly did it for the players, so I figured I didn't want the same game to keep going, so we started a new one. I gotta take a look at who's where now. We started a water competition, so like I forget what day it was. It's the honor system. If you drink anything but water, you got to take your name out. So we playing around that for a week and just started a new one. But
I think that was last just Tuesday, so that lasted about 2 days.
gosh, I'd have to go back and look. It felt like it was longer than that for the guys, but I don't know.
I mean, you weren't letting them drink coffee or Gatorade.
Nothing. I'm almost 3 weeks now, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes here. Anyways, let's stick to maybe more interesting stuff than water. It's been it was a really good 3 days. I felt post UTEP that we had a good workout Sunday, a lot of good meetings Sunday, and then we really had 2 strong days, doubles both days. The intent was just to worry about us last Monday, last Tuesday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday was cleaning up UTEP and trying to get better at what we're trying to do, what we're trying to implement, and keep growing our own team. And then gave them yesterday off. So today we begin Bradley preparation and going forward with them. Very good basketball team, very challenging game. They really have had a terrific season. They had a little bit of a bump in the road last night against IUPUI, but going into that game, Power 5 win over Penn State, good win over SMU, have just been playing great basketball, and is a very good team, very veteran-oriented, big, strong, experienced. It's going to be a definite challenge for us, and probably just a huge contrast in styles. I believe I'm going to say 299th in tempo, but I might be off on that a little bit, depending on where last night's game put them. But a team that is very similar to a Midwest Missouri Valley team, where they're going to want to play a good half-court brand of basketball. They're a very good half-court defensive team, and very skilled offensive one-on-one players, just with their strength. They're a very physical team that way. So definitely presents a lot of challenges for us. For us, it'll be about implementing our style of play, which we've spent a lot of time on here even since the UTEP game. And hopefully we'll be able to kind of continue to grow in that regard. I think 4 games is a really small sample size to make judgments on a lot of things. I think it's really early in our process. But offensively, we're playing faster than last year, and overall we're playing faster than last year. So we like that we're doing a little bit more as far as embracing our style of play, particularly early in the year. It's just really our defensive possessions that have gotten very long, and we've got to do a better job of speeding up the opposing offensive teams into playing quicker possessions. That's something we did a better job of last year that we haven't been able to do this year. A little bit of that's on coaching, a little bit of that's on Paul Weir, a little bit of that is on the opponents doing a very good job of not falling into the press and staying with what they want to do. And then a little bit of that is just our roster and our guys embracing and just executing more of this system. It's hard with a lot of new guys who want to play this way, who think they know how to play this way, but just haven't really gone out and done it on a night-in, night-out basis. Independent of, well, not really independent, I guess dependent on some veteran guys who don't happen to be in our lineup right now. It just has made us a lot younger than we anticipated going into these games. And 7 players are freshmen and sophomores, and I want them to be further ahead to where we can meet all the early prognostications and expectations and everything else about what the Lobos were going to be. But part of that is just 7 freshmen and sophomores that we have to work through a little bit. And we keep coaching them every day and hold them accountable every day and try and win as many games as we possibly can until they get their legs underneath them. And we feel like we're going out every day with the exact roster that knows exactly what we're trying to do on every possession at both ends of the floor. So just a little bit about where we're at and Bradley, and more than welcome to answer any questions.
Coach, I know you evaluate your team with stats and film and video and all that, but the eye test evaluation, what do you see in your team right now?
I think everybody thought we probably had the best practice of the year on Tuesday. So I felt very good Tuesday afternoon. I think we all did, as far as doing what we do. When Dick Hunsaker was here, it's a term that Rick Majerus would always use, that he always used, just doing simple better. And I thought last year that's what we were really good at it. We were simple in what we did, but we just tried to do it better than everybody else in our own way. And I think, really since the UTEP game, taking 3 days in the midst of all this stuff and just saying, let's just do what we do for 3 days, offensively, defensively, style of play. There's no this is a problem. There's no that is a problem. There's no let's change this or let's change that. It's let's go do what we do better for 3 days. And from that standpoint, Tuesday was terrific. We'll see how we look today, and we'll see how we look Friday. And obviously the next test is Saturday. But I like that. I like that component. And I love that we're playing 7 freshmen and sophomores. I think it's exciting as a coach to feel like you're playing that kind of youth. It makes you, it's comforting. It might not be comforting being 3-1 as opposed to 4-0, but the fact you are and that you're able to get all these reps and do all these things, and whenever other people happen to join the roster this season, next, whatever, it's just going to make you so much better when you get there. So that wise, I feel good about a lot of things around our team.
Can you update us on Corey Mandeville?
Corey, like many young men, is a young man, is growing in a lot of different ways. Saturday in the game, we had a what I consider a very potentially positive, teachable moment, which I enforced, and he's been terrific ever since. So at this point, I don't really expect anything long-term or lingering with Corey going forward. He had an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Saw him again this morning. I'm fully anticipating Corey to take that as a teachable moment. I would be remiss if I didn't say I had a lot of those last year that weren't just one-time things. I hope it's a one-time thing. We can all move forward and grow. But like any kid, you have to discipline them when those moments come about.
But it is done.
In my mind, at this point, we're good to go.
So he'll be in the rotation on Saturday?
That's my expectation right now, yes.
Paul, you touched a little bit about it in your opening. It's easier to recruit guys to play this style of ball. Everyone wants to play
Sure.
it. Big difference when they start playing it and all of a sudden, geez, I got to do this.
You're
and this,
exactly
and
right.
Seeing a lot of that out there.
Yeah, for sure. I think the most encouraging part of it, and we talk about it every day, especially the returners, is just how far ahead we are now of where we were a year ago. And we're a lot further ahead in a lot of ways. How we do Saturday, how we do in these short-term games will probably answer that objectively more than maybe how I feel. But I think we've got much better there's a much better embrace of that than maybe where I was at 12 months ago from a standpoint of knowing what to expect, what it's going to look like on a day-in, day-out basis, and then what the expectation is, come game time in a competitive environment. So I feel like we're making progress. But again, you can recruit a kid from a team that pressed, which we've done. You can recruit kids coming in saying this, here's the film. It's not no longer just a vision. It's actually something we've done in practice. But until you're doing it day in and day out and experiencing it, it's just a little bit different. And we're playing faster than last year. I think last year we were 50th to 60th or so in the country offensively, and this year we're 8th. I think last year overall, pace-wise, we were, gosh, I got too many numbers in my head, 60s or 70s, and now we're into the 30s. And that should be higher because our defensive pace is just so much slower than last year right now. So it's even cranked up from where we were a year ago. So even that increases the demands on these kids to play a certain style of basketball.
One follow, I guess the biggest positive right now is you're getting into these tight ball games, and you've got to see a toughness that's allowing you to pull them out instead of just losing them.
It's great. I think I love our schedule. I've said it a lot of times. I think every game we've played has been competitive, which is good. And I don't know if that changes really the rest of the non-conference schedule. We have game after game after game of that quad 1, quad 2 type team. I think UTEP might have come in with a lower ranking, but UTEP played really hard here, and I think UTEP's maybe a little bit better than people think. You know, Hawkins missed the first couple games. Like I like our schedule from that standpoint, that we're going out and we're getting tested every single night. There's not 3 or 4 games you're just kind of writing off the bat, saying you're not going to get much better tonight. You're just checking a box for an extra home game or a this or a that. So I hope that serves us well as the season progresses.
Paul, I know you want to get to a point where these guys on the floor, they're making the decisions, they're playing free. You know, as a coach and coaching staff, do you have to do more than you want in game situations, like more detailed than you want to get them?
You know, I'll be honest with you. I feel as a coach, I probably did too much of that in the UTEP game. You know, I think I overcoached them the first 8 to 10 minutes of the game. And that was to our detriment, whereas we should have just kept it much simpler, much more with the way we want to play. And I was trying to nickel and dime and do some different things to what I thought was going to give us a better chance to win. And in retrospect, in the game, we obviously made the adjustment. And then even looking back afterwards, you know, the way we played early was too much of that. Let's try and out-coach our way through this thing as opposed to out-teach our way through this thing and go play the way we play and just do what we do, as opposed to maybe trying to hide some things and over-coach, you know. And that's just something I've always kind of believed in. I think there's a million ways to coach the game of basketball. There's a lot of guys that do it that way, and they're terrific at it. But for me, I subscribe to the Pete Newell philosophy, which basketball was the most overcoached and undertaught game in the world. And I believe in just teaching and letting guys go play as opposed to the overcoaching side of things. And I thought the beginning of the UTEP game was me becoming overcoaching as opposed to just teaching and letting them become basketball players and just play within a framework and a style that we give them the tools to do.
Coach, is it difficult to get in some type of rhythm, either offensively or defensively, when you're playing just Saturday, next Saturday?
You know, I felt that at the beginning of the UTEP game. I felt like it looks like we've been off a week. You know what I mean? Offensively, you know, we just looked maybe a little off. We missed some layups, whatever it may be. I felt that. But quite honestly, when I went back and watched the film and kind of went through the game, like I just said, I think I had as much to do with that as maybe the time off did. I thought I was making the game more mechanical than it needed to be. The game needed to be more fluid. The game needed to be more the way we wanted to play. And I was playing the way they wanted us to play, or maybe we don't want to play. And that was as much on me as maybe the time off. Maybe we'll see that Saturday. That being said, like the 3 days we had, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, were critical for us right now. I felt really, really good about us Tuesday night. Tuesday night was the best I've felt in a while, as far as like, okay, that would, the way we just were for that last 2.5 hours was the way I want us to be, and I haven't really quite seen that yet. And gave him a day, and now we'll see if we can duplicate it again today, and then maybe this will be the start of that. So if that is the case, then I'll be forever thankful for the time we had some time off. And literally Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we spent no time on anybody but ourselves. And that's rare to get that kind of a window where you can just dial in on yourself and say, we're going to get better at this, this, and this, because these are the core competencies of what we're always going to be about.
Oh, I thought you were pointing out. The speeding up of the other team seems to be dependent on that. If you face a veteran team and they're disciplined, they're not going to let you speed them up. What are some of the ways, can you explain to us non-coaches, that you are trying to speed them up?
A lot of different ways. Obviously, our press is the first one, and trying to. It's not just a defensive thing; it's an offensive thing, and just trying to get the game going up and down, and playing in an overall style that we happen to practice a lot and hopefully kind of embrace. It's never going to be pretty, but the goal is just to be a little bit better than who we play. There are some teams so far that have done a great job of getting over the press and then just being very patient on the back end of it. I think last year, we can all remember early in the year, Tennessee Tech, whoever, it was throw-aheads, it was shots, and you can win and lose games at the back of the press. But so far this year, no one's even tried to beat us at the back of the press. Northridge was probably the closest one where they did try and take some shots at the back of it, but we like those shots. Our points per possession defensively in the first 10 seconds of a clock, I think, are .82-ish, and our points per possession the rest are 1 point whatever.
But that seems to be something that's so dependent on them. Are you relying too much on the other team's pace?
No, I agree. So I think that's what that's what our time has really been, that, we've got to get back to forcing more of that as opposed to expecting more of that. And I think last year, the way things kind of unfolded, we just eventually got into those games, whether it was a self-fulfilling prophecy of who we were playing, or maybe we were just better at it than I thought. Better at it then than I thought we were compared to this year. But the bottom line is we have to do a better job of that defensively, creating that, as opposed to just maybe expecting those things to kind of happen.
Paulie, so you don't want to overcoach them and get them thinking too much. Then how do you get more urgency out of them in the first half, as you were talking about after?
It's a great question. It's something that I've really just kind of learned either about this team or about where this style takes us, because last year I don't think we ever even had the luxury to think that way. Nobody did. Even when we were winning games at one point, I don't think anyone ever went back in the locker room going like, we're the best team in the league. We just went in every game going like, they're better than us. We've got to figure this thing out. We just went at every possession with an urgency because we didn't think we were better than any of those teams. I think this year, unfortunately, or fortunately, we've gone in thinking, hey, it's just a matter of time, we're going to get there. And I've got to do a better job. And like I said, I think this past week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we did a much better job of just every single possession is do or die, and creating that along the way. And hopefully we'll see a difference on Saturday.
Coach, going from having a week to prepare for each of your opponents now to 4 games in 11 days and really crunching that timeline down, how does that affect the way that you prepare for the next game and make sure that your team's ready?
Yeah, I think a few things. One, we've spent a lot of time on academics the past 2 weeks, which is really critical for us because this stretch that we're going into is the crunch time of the semester. So we spent a lot of time trying to get ahead, set up early exams, do any of the things we can do with professors, et cetera, to make sure that when we get into that stretch, we're also not bogged down with the academic stress of a semester, because it's real and it's hard around that time. So I feel good about that. We had a lot of little little injury, little whatever that might kind of creep up in those instances. I think there's been a great time for us to kind of handle those things as well. And then ideally, when we get into that stretch, we're going to be spending a lot of time on all those other teams and little nuances of things they do. This has provided us those opportunities now to just focus on us and really handle our own inherent weaknesses or develop weaknesses, fix those. So now when we get to these teams, we're focusing on them and we have less of our own kind of limitations to worry about.
Coach, Brown is one of those smallish guards who shoots the three ball at
Yep.
45%. Is that an assignment that you can say, okay, Drew matches up well with him? Is that the kind of thing that you look at?
You know, I think, to be totally honest with you, I look more at we shouldn't even be in these possessions to begin with. You know, I think that's where, you know, that's where the overcoaching comes in. There's so many layers to, let's just say, a given possession, and you work your way all the way down to a 3-point shot from Brown, 3-point shot from Gilliard, 3-point shot from A.J. Harris with 7 seconds on the clock. And I can sit here and go, okay, well, what are we going to do with 7 seconds on the clock? But the reality of us is it should have never gotten there to begin with. We should be doing A, B, C, D, E, and F before we even get to the shot of G. Now, when we get to the shot of G, are there things we can do better? Potentially, and let's explore those. But I'm not going to spend all my time on G when A is our calling card, always has been, and has to get better, and then B, and then C, and then D. And that's really what we spent 3 days on. Let's get better at these ones. So those moments are 3 to 6 possessions a game, as opposed to right now 12 to 18 possessions a game. And if we can get that, then I think we're giving ourselves a better chance to be successful.
Coach, I have 2 questions, right? Jackson's half his shots have been threes, and is this what you're going to be expecting him to be shooting that many threes and half his shots? And then Drew, he's played 27 minutes. He's had 9 assists. That's a lot of assists, but he's only shot 4 times. What are you trying to get out of Drew right now? I know he's been hurt, man.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about both?
You know, the issue right now with those two in particular, there are 2 highest turnover per minute guys. So turnovers have been an issue for us this year, and we're a little cognizant of turnovers right now. And I want to bring Drew along as a freshman. We're going to work with him, but he's our highest turnover per minute guy. So he has to find a way to make sure he's taking care of the ball when he's out there to allow those other things to maybe come forward and him to grow. I don't want to put him out there in situations where he's going to not have scenarios where he can gain confidence. He's a freshman. He's young. He has to grow. He has to develop. So I've got to balance a little bit. How much can he help us right now? What kind of justice am I doing him for his own growth and development? And then where is he at in that process? Vance is a terrific 3-point shooter. He's across the board done a lot of really good things for us. He's very good in the plus-minus categories. He's a very good 3-point shooter. He's been a much better rebounder than even I had thought. But his turnovers per minute are also an issue. He's coughing it up a little bit. So I think with those 2 guys in particular, right now, we're just trying to make sure they become better caretakers of the basketball.
The 3 games, the next 4, however you want to break it down. You talked early in your presser about how you have 7 freshmen and sophomores. This is a dangerous stretch. You guys can go 0-3, and it might not be that indicative that things are bad. These are 3 really good teams that you play in a week span. Have you thought about how that might handle, or how you might handle that if you go 0-3 with a young team, or if you go 3-0 with a young team? The reverse. These are the kind of opponents that maybe fans don't realize are as good as they are.
Yeah, I agree. My guys are probably the same way, and I've tried to impress that upon them before we played all the teams we've played. You know, you might not think they are school A, B, and C, pick whoever you want, Kentucky, Duke, etc., but they're good basketball teams. And that's, I hope, a lesson, particularly after the UTEP game that we've learned. And unfortunately, I think even what you're saying is probably something I could or maybe should think about. But I think right now the goal is just we've got to prepare for Bradley and do everything we can, and then let that game unfold in whatever ways it unfold. Take that set of data or information, figure it out. In not only in relation to Bradley, but in now all of a sudden a 5-game period, and now there's more data to look at and things to think about with turnovers, with deflections, with rebounds, with this, that, and the other, and then kind of take it forward from there. If that happens to take us down a stretch where we're not winning as much, how does all that come together with that information? And do the best job you can at the time. But right now I really haven't thought further ahead than Bradley and just doing whatever we can to try and go win a basketball game here on the road.
What do you have to take away from Bradley on Saturday to win that game?
I think Bradley, for sure, is a very good half-court defensive basketball team, and they get in stances. They're big. They're physical. They're a very impressive-looking team. They look like a football team, and they do a good job of guarding in the half. They do a good job of turning it into a Missouri Valley half-court Midwest football game. That's what it looks like, and they're very good at it. And we have to be able to take our style on the road and try and implement our style into the game. And we've obviously been down this road before last year and now into this year. We have to go and turn it into the game we want, get into their bench, do the things we want to do, and see where we measure up with that. If we end up playing a game in their style, it probably lends itself to them. If we play the game more in our style, it probably lends itself to us. Does that mean we can't win one there, 48-44? I don't know. And does that mean that we can't lose one there, 98-94 or whatever the New Mexico State game was? No, it doesn't. But I think it still gives us our best chance to win. So it's a great opportunity for us to go on the road. We already got our first non-conference road win out of the way, which was a big relief. And now to go out and get an opportunity for a second one at this time of year is a great situation for us.
Hey, Paul, this will probably be a better question week or so, but what are you looking to learn from your guys off the floor? Is there a big difference when you've got a bunch of road games in a row and you've got to kind of be a babysitter amongst the coach?
A little. I think that was the value of doing the Northridge game. We thought, you know what, let's just go somewhere early. Let's get a road game. Let's go through the process. Let's have the experience. So it's not going to be the first road game for all these guys. It might be a different level road game, different time of year. But we've gone through the traditions and whatever experiences you go through when you travel. This one is much more now business oriented. We've done all that. We know who the roommates are. We know the film rules, the pregame rules, all the different things that you do on the road. We know all those now. We've had our PowerPoints. We've had our discussions on what to wear. Like, we've done all that stuff, and it's out of the way. So hopefully this will be much more business-oriented, where all those expectations are just agreed upon, and now we need to go out and win a basketball game.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.